The sky above Earth turned red. A giant ship, black, sharp, and full of fire, appeared in orbit. It was not from Earth. It was not from any place known to humans. It was from somewhere far, dark, and deadly, a place only spoken of in whispers between stars. Every space station saw it. Every telescope on Earth caught its shape, and every nation froze. In just minutes, the entire world changed. The message came exactly 1 hour later. It played on every screen, in every language. The voice was deep and cold. You have 48 hours to surrender. No armies, no talk, no resistance. Only silence and submission, or Earth burns. The speaker was not human. It was the Warlord, the most feared being in the galaxy. He had no name, only a title. He ruled through fear. He destroyed planets without blinking. His ship was called the End, and every world that saw it disappeared soon after. Now, it was above Earth. World leaders held emergency meetings. Soldiers prepared for war they knew they couldn't win. Satellites tried to scan the enemy ship, but nothing worked. Far from the chaos, in a quiet village, a girl sat on a small wooden bench. She was thin, young, about 17. Her skin was pale, her hair was black. She wore no shoes. Her name was not known. She never spoke. The village called her the Quiet One. Some thought she was not right in the head. Others said she saw ghosts, but no one bothered her. She was not a threat. Until today, a black helicopter landed in the field nearby. Men in gray suits stepped out. They didn't speak to the villagers. They walked straight to her, showed her a photo, and she stood up without a word. She walked onto the helicopter barefoot. No fear, no goodbye. It took off. The villagers watched, confused. The helicopter flew to a secret base deep in the mountains. The girl sat silently, her eyes never blinked. The men with her didn't look directly at her. One soldier sat across from her and passed out mid-flight. No one said anything. When they landed, doctors tried to test her. Needles broke on her skin. Lights flickered around her. Cameras refused to focus on her face. One scientist stared too long and screamed until he was sedated. She never moved. General Mara, head of Earth's last defense force, watched her through a thick glass window. "She's our final card," the agency director said beside her. "That's a girl," the general replied. "Not a weapon." "She's not human," the man whispered. "She's something else. We found her 10 years ago, in a place that shouldn't exist, buried beneath an alien ruin, and she was just sitting there." "She has powers?" "No. Not like you think. She doesn't fly. She doesn't shoot fire. She just breaks people by looking at them." The general frowned. "That's nonsense." The director said nothing, but he didn't look at the girl. Not once. The next day, Earth's leaders made one last choice. They would broadcast a message, a global message, not to beg, not to fight, but to show the Warlord her. A studio was set up in the deepest bunker. The girl was brought in. She didn't speak or resist. She sat in a chair. A light turned on. The camera clicked on. The Warlord watched from his throne aboard the End, his face cold, his eyes full of hate. He laughed when he saw the screen flicker. "A child," he said to his generals. "Earth sends a child." The girl didn't move. The camera focused. She looked into it. Just once. Just 1 second. The Warlord gasped. Then he fell to the floor, hard. Silence filled the alien ship. His generals froze. Soldiers stepped back. Alarms rang. Medics rushed in. But the Warlord did not wake up. Back on Earth, the girl stood and walked away. No one tried to stop her. She returned to her room, sat on the bed, closed her eyes, and the EI broadcast ended. Social media exploded. People laughed. Others were confused. Is this a joke? Who is she? That was it. But inside Earth's secret base, no one laughed. The general stood in silence. He collapsed. A tech officer said, "You're sure?" "We were tapping their ship. Their leader is down. They don't know." Why? Hours passed. The warlord finally woke up. His face was pale, his eyes wide. He looked around and screamed, "Close all screens! No more signals, no more images!" His generals stared. He had never screamed before. He had never feared anything. He stood shaky and walked to his private room. He grabbed a pen and paper and began to draw. Not maps, not battle plans, eyes. He drew her eyes, over and over. The Earth waited for attack, but nothing came. No missiles, no warships, just silence, and then something strange. The Warlord's fleet moved away. The general watched the satellite feed. "They're leaving." The director smiled, but it was not a happy smile. They saw her. The general turned to the girl's room. "What is she?" "I don't know," the director said. "And I don't want to." Outside the mountain base, it began to snow. The girl sat by the window. She watched the white flakes fall. Her face was calm. Her eyes were deep. But something behind them moved. Something old. Something wrong. In a hidden part of the base, locked deep underground, a computer failed. Wires melted. Screens turned black. And a single word blinked on the monitor. "She remembers." But no one saw it. In the stars above, the warlord sat in silence. He stared at the stars. He could still see her eyes. Not in his mind, in his soul. "She looked at me," he whispered, "and I saw death. Not death like a weapon. Not death like war, real death. Before time, before gods. Something that should not be." Back on Earth, the girl finally lay down to sleep. Her last thought before she closed her eyes was not of the warlord, not of war. It was of the snow. She liked the snow, but deep inside her something stirred, something that once ended galaxies, and now it was waking up again. Inside the massive alien flagship, the end, everything was quiet, too quiet. The warlord lay on the cold metal floor of his throne room. Medics worked around him in fear. His skin was pale, his body was cold, his breathing shallow. He had never fallen before. This was the galaxy's greatest killer, the conqueror of 35 worlds, the one who destroyed the twin sons of Balnar just to prove a point. And now he looked broken. His second-in-command, a tall warrior named Vakor, watched in shock. He had fought beside the warlord for 40 years. He had seen him walk through fire, crush metal with his bare hands, tear open tanks like paper, but he had never seen him like this. "What happened?" Vakor asked the medics. "We don't know. No poison, no signal infection." His heart just stopped when he saw her. Her? They showed Vakor the broadcast. The human girl, sitting in a chair, staring into the camera. She did nothing. She said nothing, but that stare. Vakor turned away after 2 seconds. His hands were shaking. Hours later, the warlord finally woke. He sat up slowly. His breathing deepened, his eyes wide. Everyone in the room stepped back. He looked around. Leave. The room emptied in seconds. Only Vakor stayed. The warlord stared at his hands. They were trembling. "She's not human," he whispered. Vakor said nothing. "She's not a weapon," the warlord continued. "Not a god, not a soldier. She is older, deeper." "You are not making sense," Vakor said. "She's a child, a mute, from a planet we could crush in minutes. Then go. Try to crush it." Vakor stepped forward. "My warlord, what did you see?" The warlord didn't answer. He picked up a piece of paper and began to draw. He didn't look down. His eyes stayed locked on the stars outside the window. His hand moved on its own, drawing two eyes. In the command center of the end, confusion spread. Troops waited for the next order. Attack? Retreat? No one knew what to do. They all heard what happened. The warlord fell, and the only cause was the human girl. Fear began to grow, quietly at first. Then, like a storm, some whispered in the halls. She cursed him. Others said he saw the end in her eyes. Some stopped sleeping. Few started drawing her face from memory, then screaming. On Earth, scientists tried to understand what happened. But there was no data. The girl hadn't moved, hadn't spoken. Her eyes barely opened, but when she looked into that camera, something happened. General Mara watched her from behind a thick wall of glass. She looked so normal, so calm. "This is our final defense?" she asked the director. "She is not a defense," the director said. "She's a warning." "To who?" "To anyone who thinks we belong in the stars." Back in the warlord's room, dozens of drawings covered the floor. All of them were the same. Her eyes. "She is not meant to exist," he whispered. Vacor spoke carefully. "Should we destroy the planet?" "No." The warlord stood. His eyes burned with something new, not rage, not power, fear. "She's not Earth's weapon, she's Earth's mistake." Vacor frowned. "What do you mean?" "She came from under the ground, buried, trapped, and now she's waking up." The warlord walked to the bridge. He looked at the image of Earth on the main screen, so small, so weak, yet holding something older than time. He spoke one word: retreat. The entire command center froze. Retreat? The great warlord had never retreated, not once. "But Earth is helpless," one officer shouted. "They sent a child, a girl." The warlord turned to him slowly. The officer stopped talking. "She is not a girl," the warlord said. "She is the end of us." Then he turned away. The fleet moved back, out of Earth's range, out of danger. The warlord didn't explain. He didn't need to. His soldiers obeyed, but behind closed doors they talked. Their leader had gone mad. They wanted answers, or a new leader. Vacor met with the other generals in secret. "He's afraid of a child," one of them said. "He draws eyes on paper all day. This is not the warlord we followed." Vacor said nothing. He remembered the stare. He remembered the way his hands shook, but still, he could not believe fear had broken the warlord. "We must act," someone whispered. But no one moved yet. Not yet. The warlord stared into space. Alone. He couldn't stop seeing her. She hadn't moved. She hadn't spoken, but in her eyes, he saw something he couldn't explain. A void. A place where thought ended, where souls were erased. She had looked at him, and he felt like a bug, not a warrior, not a god, just small, unworthy. And somehow, she knew it. On Earth, the girl sat in her room. She hadn't eaten. She hadn't spoken. A young soldier brought food, hoping to help. He stepped inside. She looked up, just for a second. He collapsed. Blood from his nose, eyes wide open, but still breathing. He was unconscious before he hit the floor. Guards rushed in, pulled him out, shut the door. She went back to sitting, like nothing had happened. The general saw it happen on the monitors. "This is not control," she said. "This is chaos." "She doesn't act on will," the director replied. "She simply is." "Then what happens if she wakes up fully?" The director looked tired. "She doesn't need to wake up. The universe will wake for her." Deep in the alien ship, the warlord walked alone. He entered the memory chamber. It showed his victories, giant statues, flames, trophies of crushed worlds. He stared at them. They meant nothing now. What did victory mean? When one stare could end you? He remembered a story from long ago, before his rise, about a world that once vanished overnight. No war, no battle, just gone. They said it was because they dug too deep and found her. Now she was on Earth, breathing, silent, and the stars were growing colder. In his room, the Warlord stopped drawing. He looked at his hand. It was still shaking, and he whispered, to no one, "She's looking at me still." She had not eaten in 2 days. The girl sat in a white room deep underground. The walls were clean, but the light above flickered. The cameras outside the glass struggled to focus on her face. Screens glitched every few minutes. No one knew why. She had not spoken since the day she was taken from her village. No one knew her name. She just sat there silent, still, watching. Private Reynolds was a new soldier, only 19. He had never seen battle. He wanted to help, to prove himself. So when the officer asked for a volunteer to bring food to the girl, Reynolds said yes. He walked slowly down the hallway, holding a tray of soup, bread, and water. The guards at the door looked nervous. One gave him a warning. "Don't stay too long, don't look in her eyes." Reynolds laughed. "She's just a girl, right?" No one answered. The door opened with a quiet hiss. Reynolds stepped in. The room felt wrong, heavy, like the air was thicker inside. The girl sat on the edge of the bed. Her black hair fell over her face. She didn't move. He placed the tray on the table. "I brought food." No reply. He looked at her face. Just a second. Her eyes met his. Reynolds dropped to his knees. His vision turned black, cold, empty. He saw stars falling. Galaxies breaking. He felt like dust. Like nothing. Then, silence. The guards rushed in. Reynolds was on the floor, breathing but unconscious. His eyes were open, his pupils wide. They pulled him out. The girl hadn't moved. She simply lowered her head. General Mara watched through the camera. Her jaw tightened. "This is getting worse," she said. The director nodded, but didn't speak. "She doesn't mean to hurt people. She doesn't even touch them," the general said. "She doesn't have to," the director replied. "It's not what she does, it's what she is." Later that day, a team of scientists met in a dark room. They studied her background, what little they had. 10 years ago, a strange signal was found beneath a desert in the Middle East. It wasn't human. It wasn't from any known species. A secret. Team was sent to investigate. They found a deep hole. Inside, an ancient alien facility, broken, dead. But in the center, surrounded by ruins, was a child. Her. She wasn't hurt. She wasn't hungry. She was just sitting there, eyes open, watching the walls. She didn't speak. She didn't run. She let them take her. They brought her to a hidden lab. But every time someone tried to test her, strange things happened. One scientist lost all memory for 48 hours. Another cried for days, whispering, "She's older than time." Machines broke, power failed, people quit. After 3 months, they locked her away. No one visited. No one spoke to her, until now, until the Warlord came, until Earth had no other option. General Mara read the old reports. Her heartbeat never changes, not when poked, not when shocked. She doesn't age. She's looked the same for 10 years. She doesn't sleep, but sometimes closes her eyes for exactly 6 minutes every 48 hours. And one line stood out. She is not human, but Earth is where she woke up. Elsewhere, the Warlord sat alone in his ship. He had locked the memory chamber. He had stopped giving orders. He did not sleep. When he closed his eyes, he saw hers. The way she stared. Not with hate, not with emotion, just knowing, like she had seen him before he was born and judged him. He looked at the stars. He had crushed so many planets, burned so many species. But now one girl, no, one thing, made him feel like a child. He opened a sealed file from his archives. It was a forbidden story hidden by the Ancient Ones, a tale of a mistake made at the edge of the universe, a being created by accident, not God, not devil, a reflection of all fear. She walks among stars, the old text said. She wears the face of peace, but behind her eyes is the scream of the void. The Warlord closed the file. She was real, and she was here, on Earth. In the mountain base, the girl sat alone. Lights above her blinked again. A camera sparked and died. Outside the door, 2 guards began whispering. Why is she still alive? Because she's Earth's secret. We should send her to the stars. She is the stars. The general walked into the director's office. This can't go on. I agree. We don't understand her. We don't need to. I want to move her. You won't survive it. The general stared through the glass. The girl didn't move, but something about her had changed, not her body, not her face, her presence. It felt stronger. She was waking up, not like a human, like something deeper. Elsewhere, a science tech ran down the hallway with a report. He reached the general and handed it over. She read it. Her eyes widened. This can't be right. It's real, the tech said. We scanned the desert again, where she was found. And the facility is growing. Growing? It's waking up too. The Warlord stared at the same region from space. He zoomed in. Below the O, sand metal veins stretched across the land like roots, alive. The girl opened her eyes again, just for a second, and across the galaxy something responded. Not a person, not a god. Something cold, watching, listening, and moving. In the base, alarms rang. Power failed. Every screen turned black, and a single word appeared. She returns. The general backed away from the glass. What does it mean? She whispered. The director looked pale. It means this wasn't our planet first. They came in the night. No alarms, no ship seen, no lights in the sky. But they were here, 5 of them, trained to kill without sound, trained to hunt across planets, trained to destroy anything, even myths. They were called Shade Thorns. They had one mission: kill the girl, end the fear. The Warlord did not order it. His generals did. They had waited long enough. Their leader had grown weak, shaken, obsessed with drawings and silence. But they were warriors. They believed in action. And so, they sent assassins. The Shade Thorns arrived, by stealth pod, hidden under pieces of a falling meteor. A trick used only for the deadliest missions. They landed on the far side of Earth, deep in the mountains, close to the base, close to her. The mountain base was quiet that night, only a few guards on watch. Inside her room, the girl sat on her bed, legs crossed, her head tilted slightly, her eyes open but unfocused. The flickering light above her made her shadow move strangely, like it was breathing. The Shade Thorns entered through the ground, underground tunnels made by small drills. They wore black suits that changed color to match the stone. Not even the base sensors saw them. One by one, they slipped inside the base, not through doors, through walls, through vents, like shadows. In the control room, a sleepy technician yawned and looked at the screens. Everything seemed normal. Then one screen blinked, a hallway, camera dead. Then another, and another. The technician leaned forward. Strange. He reached for the radio, but something behind him moved. He turned, and then nothing. 4 minutes later, the assassins stood outside the girl's room. They said nothing. They did not need to. They were the best. Their blades were made of shadow stone, sharp enough to cut light. They could kill gods. They believed. They had never failed. The leader made a signal with 2 fingers. The door opened. They stepped inside. Silence. The girl sat exactly as before. She looked up slowly. Her eyes met the leader's. He froze. The air felt thick. The room felt wrong, like they had stepped inside something alive, something ancient. His hands trembled. He blinked. He was standing on a dead planet. The sky above was black. No stars, no sun. Bones lay around him. Endless bones. And far away, she stood, just looking at him. He screamed. Outside, guards heard the noise. Alarms rang. Soldiers ran down the hall. The door opened again. They found 4 assassins on the floor. One was crying. One was bleeding from the nose. One had stabbed himself in the chest. The leader was standing, eyes open but frozen. Not blinking. Not breathing. Dead. The girl sat still, eyes closed. Security pulled the bodies out. The crying assassin whispered something over and over. Eyes. Too many eyes. Inside. Her? Then he died. General Mara arrived minutes later. She looked through the glass window. The girl was still there, peaceful, like nothing had happened. This was an assassination, the general said, from the alien fleet. The director nodded. They want her gone, he said. She scares them more than war. Good. Let them be afraid. Later that night, the general met with her team. Why didn't she attack? One officer asked. She doesn't attack, the general replied. They attacked her. She just showed them something. Far above Earth, on the alien ship, the U.N., the generals waited for word, but nothing came. No message, no signal, just silence. Then a transmission broke through. A blurry video of one of the assassins, just before death. He was crying, screaming in a language no one spoke. The image cut out. The room was quiet. The warlord stepped in. He looked around. No more missions, he said. His generals stayed silent. She's not meant to be touched. One general stood. We cannot fear a child. The warlord looked at him. She is not a child. He pointed to a map of the galaxy. She is a mirror. You look at her and see your truth. The generals scoffed. I see no truth. I see a lie. Then go, the warlord said, and see for yourself. The general did not go. In the Earth base, the girl stood up. For the first time in 3 days, she walked to the glass window and stared out. No one was outside. But still, she looked as if someone was watching. In the control room, a new alert appeared. Facility reboot detected. The screen showed the buried alien structure. It was active again, growing. In space, something ancient turned in its sleep. Not on Earth, not near Earth, but far, far away. Something tied to her, something waking, and the stars blinked one by one, as if they were watching too. The warlord had not slept in 3 days. He sat alone in his chamber, staring at the stars. But they didn't bring peace anymore. They made him feel small, like ants in a sky of fire. He used to love this view. Now, it made him sick. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her. The girl, the silence, the stare, not angry, not hateful, just endless. He had seen battlefields soaked in blood. He had seen stars collapse. He had seen gods beg, but nothing had broken him like this, not the girl. Her eyes. He tried to forget. He trained harder, punched steel until his fists bled, screamed orders at soldiers, destroyed a hologram of Earth 20 times. But every time he rested, the dream came. He stood on a planet with no name. The sky was black, the ground cracked like glass, and the air was full of whispers. She stood far away, not moving, just watching. He tried to run, but the world pulled him down like it wanted to keep him forever. The dream always ended the same way. She looked at him, and he woke up screaming. His guards began to worry. He started drawing her again, but now not just the eyes. Now he drew a door. A black door. Always the same shape, always the same markings, and always a figure standing on the other side. One night, he locked himself in his chamber. He whispered to himself over and over, "She's not alive. She's not dead. She's what comes after." His top general, Vakor, stood outside the door. "The men are afraid," one officer said. "The Warlord is losing control." "He's seeing things," another said. "He dreams of her. We must act." Vakor didn't speak, but he knew they were right. If their leader stayed broken, the army would break too. So he made a choice. He walked to the command center and called a meeting. Not with weapons, not with armies, but with the Warlord himself. Hours later, Vakor stepped into the Warlord's chamber. It was dark, cold. The walls were covered in papers, drawings, eyes, doors, planets breaking, and always her. The Warlord sat on the floor, cross-legged, staring at the same drawing. "You came to end me," he said without turning. "No," Vakor said. "I came to ask." "To ask what?" "What do you see when you dream of her?" The Warlord looked up. His face was pale, his voice cracked. "I see what I truly am. Nothing." Vakor sat down across from him. "I've served you all my life," he said. "I've seen you destroy empires. But now, you're afraid." The Warlord nodded, slowly. "Because I understand now," he whispered. "She is not a warrior. She is a mirror." Vakor frowned. "Mirror? She doesn't show you her power," the Warlord said. "She shows you your weakness." "And what did she show you?" "Myself. After death. Forgotten. Alone. Dust." For a long time there was silence. Then Vakor spoke. "So, what do we do?" The Warlord stood. His voice grew steady. "We face her. Together?" "No. Me alone." The next day, a signal reached Earth. The Warlord requested a meeting. Not a fight. Not a war. Just a face-to-face talk. General Mara looked at the message and laughed once. "He's afraid." The director nodded. "He wants answers." "Should we let him come?" The director looked through the glass at the girl. She stood now, staring out the window again. "She's waiting," he said. Preparations began. The Warlord would land alone. No guards, no weapons, no tricks, just him and her, far away, on the end. Vakor gave his leader one last warning. "She may not speak, I know. She may not move. I hope she doesn't. But if she does," the Warlord looked at him, "then I'll finally know." Back on Earth, the girl sat in her chair, waiting. In her dreams, the black door opened wider. She didn't walk through, not yet. But she would. Soon. The Warlord stood at the edge of Earth's landing zone. No guards, no armor, no weapon, just him, under the gray sky. His boots pressed against Earth's dirt for the first time. Soldiers pointed guns at him from every angle. He didn't flinch. I'm not here to fight," he said. He raised his hands. "I only want to see her." Inside the mountain base, alarms blared. Every hallway was locked. Every hand was ready on a trigger. But General Mara kept calm. "He came alone," she said. "Let him in." They brought him through 5 steel doors, 2 elevators, and 1 retina scan. No talking, no stops. When he reached the final hallway, a young soldier stepped back. The Warlord's presence still felt dangerous, but not like before. Now it felt cold, heavy, like sadness. She was waiting. The girl, in her white room, with the flickering light and no shoes, she sat in the chair, still, silent, watching. The door opened. He stepped in. They were alone now. The Warlord looked at her. She looked back. It felt like the world stopped. The air became thick. Time slowed. Then he fell. But this time, he didn't scream. He didn't cry. He hit the floor, breathing heavy. Then he looked up, and for the first time, he saw not her face, not her skin, but what was behind it. A memory. No, not a memory, a place, a black planet, dead suns above, no stars. No sky, just dark, and in the center, a throne made of bones. She was sitting on it, the same girl, same face, same silence, but older, much older, beyond time. She raised her hand, and the universe cracked. Planets shattered like glass. Stars blinked out. Like candles, he saw species fall to their knees, not because of pain, but because of truth. They saw themselves, small, weak, fake, nothing. Then the girl on the throne looked at him, just like she did in the room, and he felt his soul fold in half. Like paper in fire, he was back on the floor, in the room, breathing fast, sweating, crying. She was still sitting, still watching, still silent. But now, he understood. She wasn't alive like other beings. She wasn't even made. She just happened. A mistake, a message, a warning, maybe all three. She had no name, no voice, because she didn't need one. Her eyes told the truth, and that was enough to destroy minds. The Warlord sat up slowly. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He just nodded once, like he had received an answer. Outside, the room, General Mara watched the cameras. Her hands shook. "What is he doing?" an officer whispered. "He's surrendering," she said. Inside, the Warlord stood. "I saw it," he said. His voice was soft. "She isn't your weapon." He looked at the girl. "She is the memory of something we were never meant to see." The girl blinked, only once, and it was enough. He turned, walked to the door. It opened. No guards stopped him. No one moved. He left the base, climbed into his ship, and vanished into the stars. Back in his flagship, the End, he locked himself in the throne room. No one could enter, but they heard him whispering, over and over, "She showed me. She showed me. She showed me." On Earth, the girl stood, walked to the window. Outside, the clouds moved, and for a moment, the stars above Earth blinked all at once, like they were afraid. Far away, deep in space, a dark planet began to move. It hadn't moved in 1 billion years. But now, it turned slowly. Its heart started to beat. Inside the Earth base, sensors failed, screens died, and a new message appeared. "The mirror opens." The director stared at the words. "What does it mean?" the general whispered. "It means she's just the beginning." The girl closed her eyes, and behind them the door opened wide. The Warlord never left his throne room again. No orders, no speeches, just silence. The lights in his ship dimmed. His guards waited outside the door for days, weeks. He never came out. Without him, the Empire began to crack. One planet rebelled, then another, then 6 more. Old enemies rose from hiding. They saw the Warlord's silence as weakness, and weakness in an empire is death. The generals panicked. They blamed Earth, blamed the girl, but none of them dared to return to her. Not after what happened to the assassins. Not after what happened to the Warlord. Some ships fled the Empire entirely. Some started their own kingdoms. But a few did something else. They turned toward Earth, not to attack, but to worship. They believed the girl was not a threat. They believed she was truth, the final truth, the last being. They called her the Eye beyond the End. They built strange shrines in space, black pyramids floating in orbit. No words, no symbols, just eyes, watching. Earth became strange. At first, humans feared the alien cults. But the cults did not fight. They just watched. They walked. Earth's cities in silence, wore grey robes, slept under the stars, and stared at the sky. Some humans joined them, others didn't. But all of them felt the same thing. The world had changed, and it would never go back. In the mountain base, the girl sat in a garden. Her first time outside, she didn't touch the flowers, she didn't speak, she just sat, watching bees, watching wind. A young technician named Leo came every day to fix cameras and wires. He was only 19. He wasn't special. He didn't even have high clearance, but he liked the quiet of the garden, and he liked her. He didn't talk to her at first. He didn't know how. What do you say to someone who isn't fully someone? But he nodded every time he passed her, and after a week, she nodded back. No one else stayed long in her presence. Most soldiers fainted, others got sick, some cried. But not Leo. He felt calm near her, as if the rest of the world was loud, but she was soft, as if standing beside her made the chaos smaller. One day, he brought her a paper flower he made himself. Simple. White. She looked at it for a long time, then took it, held it gently, didn't speak. But for the first time, she smiled. It was small, barely there, but it made Leo's chest ache. He didn't know why. She never smiled again. But that one time was enough. In space, chaos spread. The Warlord's generals fought each other, planets burned, whole systems vanished, no one could stop the collapse. But the cults kept coming. Their ships circled Earth, some hovered over deserts, others floated above oceans. They didn't land. They didn't talk. They just stayed, watching. The world governments didn't know what to do. Some wanted to fire missiles, others wanted peace talks, but the girl said nothing, so they waited. One night, Leo sat in the garden with her. He didn't speak, just leaned back against a tree. The stars above blinked. The girl looked at him, he looked back, and for the first time, she didn't close her eyes. She didn't look away. She saw him, all of him, and he didn't run. No fear, no fainting, no sickness, just quiet. Then she stood up, walked toward the door. "Where are you going?" he asked softly. She didn't answer, but she looked back and smiled again. It wasn't a goodbye. It was something else, something strange, something gentle. She walked deeper, into the base. The lights flickered, sensors glitched, then everything went still. On her room's wall, a symbol began to glow, a circle inside it. An eye inside the eye, a doorway, the black door from the Warlord's dreams. But this time, it was open. Across the galaxy, alien machines shut down, empires shattered like glass. Black holes spun faster, as if something old had finally been unlocked. The girl sat in her chair again, waiting and in space. They were coming, not the cults, not the rebels, not the generals, but something else, older, stronger. They had waited for this, for her, 10,000 ships, one final fleet, no flags, no name, just war. They had one mission: destroy Earth, destroy the girl. End the silence. But Earth did not panic. Not this time. They had seen what she could do. They had seen what she was. And so they waited. With her. The sky above Earth turned black. 1,000 alien ships filled the stars. They came from every corner of the galaxy. Big ships. Fast ships. Ships built only for war. No flags. No names. No warnings. Only one command. Erase her. Burn the planet. In Ai. Every country, people looked up, at the sea, in the desert. From tall buildings, even in the deep forests, the sky glowed with ships. They were everywhere. Inside Earth's mountain base, alarms rang, soldiers ran, missiles were armed, but General Mara said one thing: wait. The girl stood barefoot at the edge of the mountain. Her white hospital gown moved in the cold wind, her hair danced around her eyes. She looked up. The alien fleet didn't wait. They locked on their targets. 10,000 weapons charged at once. Earth was seconds away from fire. But the girl didn't run, didn't flinch, didn't blink. She took one soft step forward, then another. She walked alone toward the edge of the cliff, the last edge, where sky meets sky. Leo ran out behind her. Wait! He shouted. She stopped, turned slightly, looked at him, and again. She smiled. That's when she spoke. Her voice was soft, not loud, not angry. One word, one syllable, a sound so simple it felt unreal. That word was see. It was not a command, it was an invitation. Every ship in the sky stopped. Mid-flight, mid-attack, weapons froze, engines died. Then they started to scream, not from pain, but from truth. Inside the ships, soldiers fell to their knees. Some begged, some clawed their faces. Others simply stared, eyes wide, unable to speak, because they saw, not her, but themselves, who they really were, all the choices, all the lies, the hatred, the fear, the weakness. It was all there, reflected in her voice, like a mirror that couldn't be broken. One by one, the ships turned around. Some vanished into hyperspace. Some drifted quietly into orbit and shut down. Not one fired. Not one stayed. And then, silence. The girl stood still. Leo walked toward her. He didn't ask what she was, or what that word meant. He just stood beside her, and she was gone. Not dead. Not vanished. Just gone. Like she had stepped into a place outside of time. In her room, the lights flickered, a note lay on her bed, written by hand. Just one sentence. It said, "You saw me and didn't run." Leo read it and smiled. The world returned to peace. The alien cults left quietly. The generals who tried to fight her stopped speaking. The Warlord never came back. His empire faded into dust. People still talked about her. The girl with no name, the D, one who never spoke until she did. Years later, a child in a small village asked their mother, was she real? The mother smiled and answered, sometimes. Truth walks like a person. Above them, in the night sky, one star blinked softly. If watching, as if waiting.